Hello and welcome to the salesXchange podcast, B2B marketing talk for CEOs. When it comes to marketing, we can safely say that people haven't changed, but the technology certainly has. And if we don't adapt, we're going to run into some serious problems. So, if you're a CEO who's involved in marketing, join us as we talk about strategies and tactics needed to generate new business. And I'm your host and founder of salesXchange, Nigel Main. Well, welcome to our 2019 review. Today I'm joined by Liz.
Hello, everybody.
And today, what we want to talk about is what we've been doing last year, and more importantly, why we did what we did last year, and the structure that we put in place. Now, to kind of nutshell it, really, because of the consultancy work that we do and the advice and way that we work with businesses, we realised, and maybe we've known for a long time, but to decide to put something into action, into plan, you've got to seriously think about it because it has significant implications. And so the consultancy drove us to rechange to present a different methodology to CEOs when it comes to marketing, because the advice out there is crap. I mean, let's not put too fine a point on this. The way that marketing is presented online is really bad, and it's bad for a reason. And in terms of the options open to business owners and managing directors are to entrust marketing to the marketing departments, consultants and agencies. So you think, well, what's wrong with that? They can't all be wrong. But until you start scratching the surface and realise what happens out there in the digital world online, what mechanisms are available, and knowing what mechanisms are available online and comparing that to what you have within your business. And you think, well, listen, Nigel, we've got everything sorted. We've got CMOs, marketing directors, we've got marketing managers, we've got field product, SEO, we've got everything covered, really. Okay, that's fine. Well, then this might not be for you. But the bottom line is that if one looks at the facilities available for some stay-at-home person, whether it's a mum or a dad, who wants to earn a few quid online, there are loads of tools and platforms out there that they can subscribe to that will give them all the information they need for keywords and information like that. So you can say, okay, well, if we want to write about something for a given niche, and you go, wait a second, we're in B2B. We're selling products and services here. Niche stuff, choosing a niche. How do you choose a niche? We're already funding and running businesses in a given niche. We're selling our products and services. That's not a niche. That's our market segment. The first thing I really want to impress on business owners is this. And I can say, you wouldn't listen. You wouldn't accept someone saying this to you if you were in your offices and allowing an employee to talk to you like this. But we know, because you and I are directors, that we don't know everything there is to know about marketing. We can't, because we're busy being directors or owners or entrepreneurs, CEOs, whatever. We may in our youth have gone to university, but we probably didn't study marketing. We probably studied something else. We, being bright individuals, would not employ someone who fancied doing our accounts. We would make sure that they had ACCA after their name or any other qualification that confirms who and what they are, and that they've got a firm and they've got the credentials and so on. So you would not employ someone that, well, I quite like numbers. So you would do it. So you've got to go and get an accountant, a marketing person that's got some absolute credibility. The trouble is, people in marketing full of crap because they've rarely ever sold anything. You might have done as a managing director. Of course you have. You wouldn't be where you are if you couldn't sell your business, whether you've succeeded at raising money or whether you've succeeded in getting someone to buy your product. But that's face to face. We're talking about a slow burn, long game that happens before. Before the person actually gets to buy. So how do you become visible to them? And so this is what this is all about. This whole marketing thing is about visibility before you start talking about selling something. So we've been looking at this and saying, well, what's available to business owners that can help persuade them or dissuade them and encourage them to go down a certain path with the information that's online. So you go online and what you come across is all these SEO people and all this, that and the other, all talking about stay-at-home mums and dads who want to earn a few quid online. It's like, well, that's not for me, so you click away. You go and look on YouTube, same thing happens. If you want to grow your YouTube channel, blah, 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 do this, and this. Why are they doing it? The reason both of them are doing it is because they want to cadge a bit of traffic from popular subjects that drives traffic to their sites so they earn money from Google AdSense or online advertising. That's it. So how on earth is a business owner going to go, oh, well, actually, we'll adapt all of that for our business? You're not. You're going to rely on a marketing person to know what they're talking about. And the reality is, with B2B, many, many, many B2B people do nothing on B2C. And when they turn around and go, oh, yes, we do. I've done B2C and I do B2B. And you go, okay, well, show me what you did. Oh, we moved the needle this many percentage points. You go, how did you generate more leads? How did you get people interested in us? Oh, well, we haven't done that here in B2B, but we increased the visibility and so on our B2C product, like sweets or dresses or shoes or whatever. Who cares? We're talking business-to-business products and services here. So I know I'm not really including Liz in this at the minute, but I'm just trying to get this across. That this, as the intro to this, it's so important that business owners understand how to disseminate the nonsense that goes on out on the internet land that actually has no relevance to B2B. However, we're able to draw from that and say, but we've got a plan. So when it comes to what were we doing last year in 2019, we realised that if you're marketing people, and in that it's CMO, directors, managers, anyone that's employed to do marketing for you, any agency and any consultancy, if those groups of people have not impressed upon you to do video and podcasts and articles. I'm not talking blogs, because most people's view of doing a blog is the same as writing an article for a newspaper. You write it once and it's tomorrow's fish and chip wrapping paper. So therefore there's no point changing it. But we realised that not many business owners understood that when you write an article and post it on your website, it doesn't matter about the URL. It does matter about the name of the page, because you can change the name of the page. You're expected to change the name of the page and update that article on a regular basis. And the reason you're expected to do it is so you can increase your visibility and your position in the organic search engines. Google have got structured data, which means you can present your information in such a way that it says to Google, we're a product and services company and so on. So there's this information that's available within Google, within presenting information online, that you're expected to change it. And because, this is the thing that we're looking to impress upon businesses, is to get you and your staff to look at your articles as being a salesperson.
Yeah, I think it's really important. We spent a lot of time doing a lot of research, looking at what other companies were doing, looking at what companies were doing in the tech space, and seeing how their articles were being presented, and to a large part, people were just putting up blogs or articles on their website with actually no search intent with them. So a lot of this was about search intent. What are your prospects? What are browsers looking at ahead of buying something from any company, yours or one of your competitors? And what we realised was that there was no search intent, and that because of that, what articles you were writing were just not being found unless you were able to send people just directly to your website and then expect the browser to click around in certain places and maybe happen across a blog that was written. And so we spent a lot of time looking at that and looking at the structure of how blogs or articles are written, what the search intent is, what you can add into there, whether it's structured data, whether it's rich snippets, all of these things that actually make your content of interest and valuable. Because a piece of writing that sits on your website is not really valuable to anybody unless they can find it, and they have to find you first. And how do they find you? If they can't find you, and a lot of you will know, if you put in some search terms, you only really come up at the top of the search engines if you put in your company name. But how many people actually know you apart from your customers and maybe some prospects that you've been hitting on for a while? They're not going to be able to find you. So what we realised was that, in actual fact, the most important thing that any business can do is to produce valuable content. And then from that valuable content, it's like, well, what do we mean by content? Do we just mean blogs or articles? Well, no, actually, because
I think the terminology is really important. Blogs or articles. Mm-hmm. Blogs are articles. Articles are blogs.
Yeah.
A blog, just so as we're covering all bases, a blog was termed as a personal log, and as a personal log, you've also got a video log, and therefore vloggers. Now, the key thing here with business to business, an article, a blog, a piece, a bit of information, whatever you want to call it, there are a couple of things. You have to write as if you're writing for a 12-year-old, but you have to write and include as much genuine, helpful, explicit, understanding, clear to present information as you possibly can, and that article can grow. And so when an article is written, it's supposed to be written as if you are speaking to someone who is an absolute beginner, knows nothing about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And people don't. I mean, it's like, and it's not the fault of the managing directors. I was talking to someone the other day, and we were talking about content. And he went, "Oh, don't talk to me about content." I said, "Why?" He said, "Well, I keep telling this other person that that we need to do content as a company." And the very senior person of this other company said, "Don't talk to me about content. It's rubbish. It's a waste of time. You want us to do marketing. All marketing people ever want me to do is write content. I mean, forget it. I'm not interested." It's like, dear, oh dear. But the point is that whatever you have written is actually there to draw people in to sell to them. You go to an event, you haven't got a problem giving out your business card. Tell someone what you do, give them a business card, walk away. They may or may not contact you, mate. You're not quite sure whether how engaged they are. What's stopping your staff from writing articles about what you are, how you solve people's problems with your product, and being as explicit and detailed as you possibly can? And this is where I don't know if you've heard of this before. You've got long form and short form blogs or articles. And long form articles win every time on organic search engines because they've got more information and detail in it. Because it's almost like saying you got to write for Google. No, Google have got these amazing algorithms, which is why they're $1 trillion company, that can emulate the understanding of humans to an extent. Yeah. So therefore, you're not writing for Google, you're writing for people. And it's a bit like, if you think you do like half a page and chuck it up as an article, it's like, imagine saying that to someone about your company. You've written 6 paragraphs and that's it. And they just look at you stunned. Is that it?
I think what I was quite surprised at, and sort of as you start to break this down and you think, okay, we need to write an article, and you start to realise that what you have to do is you have to answer a question. Because when we go on to Google, when we actually do a search on Google, it doesn't matter what we're looking for, you write out a question. And so you have to answer those questions. So when your prospects or browsers, anybody out there looking to buy a product is going to ask a question. It's going, how will this phone system improve my company's productivity? Or how to improve my productivity with a new phone system. We have a way of putting things into Google, but when we write articles, we don't think in those terms.
But I tell you one thing, salespeople do. So we have sold for years.
Yeah.
It's who, what, when, where, why, and which. And how. How, yeah, I thought I said that, but how, yeah. That's when, we tell our employed salespeople to ask open questions.
Yep.
It's a standard process. It's a way of drawing the customer out, drawing that conversation out.
It's about qualification, isn't it? Because I think, if you imagine that those articles that you're writing, and this was a bit of a light bulb moment for me, when you imagine that you're writing these articles and you put yourself in the shoes of the browser, it's like, if I'm not answering a question, then I know that browser is going to click away. Because if all it is a list of technical features, or it's a look how brilliant we are as a company, they're not really interested in how brilliant you are as a company. They've got to know, first of all, whether their pain is going to be addressed in terms of what they want to buy.
Yeah.
And then they will start narrowing down their search of possible suppliers. So I think a lot of companies kind of put the cart before the horse. They actually think, we need to tell people how wonderful we are, and we need to tell people what products we sell. But what's in it for the customer? Or the prospect? There is nothing really in it for the customer, not until they get to the point of making the decision one supplier over another. And then, and actually even then at that point, they are going to be looking at your content. They are going to be, like when you buy something on Amazon, I always kind of scroll down and look at the reviews at the bottom because I want to know what other people have said about it. And I think we have to be freely available with our information because there's so much competition for it out there. If we're just putting out technical features, how wonderful our product is, how great we are as a company.
Or gatekeeping it.
Oh, totally. And that's what I mean by making it freely available.
Yeah.
Because if it's not freely available and you're insisting on getting an email address, it's like a transaction. The customer's not in the transaction phase. The customer's not ready to make a transaction with you.
I think plus the fact, especially B2B, business owners and all the people down the chain know that if they need to get hold of some information and they go onto a website and the information sheet, the landing page that's been presented says, I'm going to answer all your questions, but I want your name, address, email, inside leg measurement, the lot. Mm-hmm. That person that wants that document is going to go, I'm going to download it, and all they're going to do is pester the life out of me to try and get an appointment to come and see me.
Yeah, and that customer, you have to think about it from the your prospects or the prospective customer's viewpoint here, is that there are phases in the buying process, and if that if that prospect is right at the beginning of the buying process, if you look at anything, especially with high value goods, we're not talking about buying a new kettle or a new fridge. We're talking about, particularly in the B2B area, we're talking about high value purchases.
Yeah, software, hardware,
Yeah,
or
whatever
services.
it is, so you're looking at buying something that's high value. You're going to go through a process, and there's going to be a phase. So you're going to do your exploratory phase first. And as I said before, you're not in that transaction phase at the moment. You don't want to give something because you know that you're going to be harassed. And actually, you as a prospect, I actually want the time to evaluate all the different areas. And first and foremost, I want to know if this is right for me before I even go down the route of talking to somebody.
The thing is, I mean, with it's been a buzzword for years. Demand gen, lead gen, and then there's a difference between the two. But the bottom line is that says whether you're talking lead gen or demand gen, you are going to gatekeep that content, and therefore you are hampering the ability for somebody to look at you and to look at what you know, to look at how you want to help them. If you're not prepared to help them, this is how I see it. If you're not prepared to help somebody, on the phone, they ring you up and say, I've got a problem. Can you answer the problem? You go, yeah, of course. But if you imagine they phone you up and go, no, you've got to pay for me to tell you. It's like, well, I don't know. I don't want to pay for you. The same with your content online. I want your email address. And when they get the email address, that is, I'm sure I've mentioned this on previous podcasts, but the reason that the marketing department label it as demand or lead gen, it fulfills and completes a KPI. All that money you've been spending on marketing has resulted in this lead.
Yeah, so it's justified.
And so you justify it and you say, right, we've got a marketing qualified lead. We're going to use our marketing automation platform to lead score it. And because we've all agreed on the lead score, we're now going to hand that over to sales, and we're going to say it's a marketing qualified lead handed to sales, and sales go out and ring up the customer and then get the needle with marketing because the customer's not interested or whatever. Even if they are interested, it's still not enough. But all you're doing is fueling a process for KPIs. And like I said in the previous one about it's between 1950s and a 1980s model that you're trying to wrap some technology around, which is just get the salespeople out there, get them finding the business, talking to the business, get in front of them, must get in front of them, close them down, get the paperwork signed, get a check from them, and go back to the office and ring the bell. The bottom line is that we buy differently. We buy differently because we can. But if the marketing people aren't going to change the way that they're looking at their ability to communicate, which is make everything freely available, and we're putting our money where our mouth is, everything on our website is freely available without restriction, without email addresses. I don't want, you're listening to us here, I don't want your email address. I'm not going to ring you up. Why would I? I don't want to ring you up deliberately because I know you're busy. I know that you will contact me if you're interested, because you will then go off and you will evaluate me against anybody else. And so, like I said, if your marketing team are not doing video podcasts and articles written in the way we've just been talking about, they actually haven't got a plan. All they're trying to do is say yes sir, no sir, tug their forelock and say, look, we're working to the KPIs you've asked us. But if they turn around and said, if you turn around to them and said, do as you're told, keep doing it, they're not going to challenge you. And this is the problem, a fundamental problem I see, is that everybody in the marketing environment, doesn't matter who they are, whether they work for you as employees, consultants, or an agency, you're the customer, and very rarely will they challenge you because you're paying.
And I think we also realised as well last year, we did a lot of research and so on, that, the type of content that's available. And I think when you don't grasp the fact that a blog just isn't it, or an article just isn't it, or a newsletter just isn't it. It's got to be so many different types of media that you're presenting to people. And I think that's, and we spent a lot of time last year producing the videos that you'll see on our website, the podcasts, the articles. We spent a great deal of time looking at this and saying, well, do you know what? You've got to be in all spaces. And to say, no, we can't, we don't want to do YouTube. It's like, but you don't know unless you've actually polled all of those prospects out there, those potential buyers of your product.
That's what they've got to do. I mean,
you don't know
absolutely.
whether they're going to be looking at YouTube on a Saturday morning. They're chilled, they're relaxed, they've got a cup of coffee. Oh, do you know what? I'll just scroll through YouTube and have a quick browse here. You don't know that.
Well, the other thing, just on that, is that Google/YouTube have got algorithms. Mm-hmm. They know who you are. They absolutely know who you are. They know what you do, what you watch, what you look at. Their algorithm will present to you the information that they know you like to look at. Mm-hmm. So it's the it's the monkeys. Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. But it's all that's. If you imagine those monkeys are your customers, don't look at it that way round, but you know what I mean. You don't know if they like to read, watch, or listen. You do not know that. But the other thing is, we all do it. I mean, like you and I mean, we either watch videos, watch Netflix, watch stuff on that screen downstairs, mm-hmm. yeah, or we listen to stuff on our iPhones, mm-hmm. or we read stuff wherever we want to read stuff when it suits us.
Yeah.
But we do those three things at different times in the day. Therefore, if we turn around and say, okay, well, our marketing strategy is going to consist of writing articles. That's it. You go, okay, that's fine. And your marketing team will go, yes, sir, no, sir, and crack on with it. We've got people doing content. We've got people doing SEO. You go, oh, lovely, that's really nice for you. What about the other 2/3?
Yeah, I do think that word content has somehow become synonymous for businesses, not so much for B2C or more consumer, but I think content has become synonymous with written stuff. It's what is on our website. It's the blogs that we send out. The content is the newsletter that we send out to our prospects and customers every month. Yeah. It's become synonymous with written stuff. Whereas if you actually were to do a bit of a search on YouTube and look at content creators, you would find there's this huge world out there.
I know.
A lot of it's in Canada. Huge world out there that content creation is about. It's not about written stuff. It's about producing these fantastic videos. These young people out there that are producing the most amazing high quality videos. And they're talking about their lives and they're sharing their knowledge about what they know about creating content. And what they see as synonymous with content is video.
Oh, yes.
So there's a bit of a void here.
Well,
You've got the
Marques Brownlee. I mean, MKDHB, I think it's called. He's been on YouTube since he was 11 or 13.
11 or 13.
I mean, and he's at the ripe old age of 23. He's pulling in £500,000 a year and he's got 10 million followers. Yeah, this is a young lad. He's articulate.
Driving a Tesla,
and he's talking about he likes tech. And you think, oh. Now, as B2B practitioners, so we've sold kits, so, do all this kind of stuff. We know that all you need, I mean, there was a situation a long time ago. We did some advertising. We were doing office technology and, if it moved, sell it, for copiers the size of a room and all this kind of stuff and furniture. And we did this a radio campaign on Capital Radio, advertising campaign. And it's like, oh, here we go. And it was good. It was interesting being in the car at the time and it's our adverts on. And it was great. And we got no business from it until the very last advert On the very last day, which was a Friday, at 11 o'clock was when it went out. And we know this because the woman who did it, who contacted us, said, I was listening to the radio last night before I went to bed, and it was your advert. It was exactly what I was looking for. And she called us, and we've refurbished and kitted out an office in Broadway in SW1, central London. And then we fitted out a complete office, everything, absolutely everything that went into it, in Swindon. 2 massive contracts, one radio campaign. Now, the thing is with B2B, if you get the right person at the right time listening to you, they go, he's talking to me. That makes sense. I'll look at them. And if I'm allowed to just look at you in my own time without you pestering me, I'm going to quite like you, because I don't want people chasing me down. And if I'm allowed to look at stuff, I quite like that. So, but the thing with B2B, we know B2B, it's right person, right place, right time. But because it's changed, we know that you are, not you, but businesses out there, we know that I'm talking to you, there's a tendency, and obviously the person that you that are listening to us right now, when we're doing these podcasts, it's like, should we be talking directly to you, or should we be talking to each other? You can hear it in what we're saying. So we're talking to you right now. We're talking to you right now. Oh, Liz, I'm talking to you now. And he's trying to kind of getting used to who are you speaking to. Anyway, it's a bit of an aside, but business owners today, I don't hear very often that business owners send their salespeople out to cold call. I don't see it. I think you've had people come in.
Yeah, I've had quite a lot of, not quite a lot.
Door knocking cold call I'm talking about.
Yeah, I would say probably in the last 10 years it has definitely dropped off. But even within the last 3 years, yeah, I have definitely been approached. Interesting, actually, because the type of companies that approach me, I've had photocopier, I've had courier services, cleaning companies, people that are going to business locations and getting compliment slips or getting business cards. And
I was doing that 30 years ago.
You see, the thing is, I always feel kind of sorry for these people having been in that situation. And I don't, because I remember I was cold calling in Mayfair in, I think it was 1984. Rain, sleet, snow, freezing cold, and they were, I was like, this is what you do. This is what direct sales is about. But you were successful. I mean, the thing is, at the time, yeah, that was the way to do it. But I do think now we not just with the internet, but I do think there comes a point where it's like, stop ringing my doorbell. Stop. And also, I also find this now with telesales companies. People that will do telesales and get so angry with me because I won't put a phone call through. And in the past,
we're talking to John the other day. We saw him just the other day, and he was saying that they got a 12,000 name database, started cleaning it up, whittled it down to 7,000. Sorry. And the same old, just banging out phone calls, trying to make appointments. It's like,
you see, I look at that and I think, we did this in our when we were in
previous
telecoms.
life.
Well, we did this in telecom. So basically, what we did was we produced this fantastic brochure, and it was a very, very good brochure. It
cost a lot of money, that brochure.
And it did cost a lot of money. We produced this brochure. We even got a temp in to stuff the envelopes, I seem to remember, and it cost us a fortune. And we sent it out by post. But I'm not quite sure how many we actually sent out. Maybe it was about 1,200 or something. I don't know what the number was, but whatever it was, and bearing in mind I was the only person following this up and doing the phone calls.
Yeah, this was a few years ago.
Yes, it was a few years ago. But nevertheless, the principle still, that the fact that we produced this brochure and we sent out all of this, we sent it out. And then we had to follow it up. And there was no way, I would say not in a million years, but not in any reasonable timescale that I could possibly have spoken
Not
to
effectively, no way.
all of the people that got that brochure. And that's the thought that struck me when we were talking to John. He's an old friend of Nigel's. They used to work together. And it struck me that 12,000 data. So how many people do you actually have on the phone? Because in real terms, how many calls do you have to make to even get close to talking to 12,000, 7,000, even 1,000 people? I mean, you all know the math.
One of the things that he said about the number of presentations. So, it was like out of 10 presentations, businesses are getting one deal. That's 10 presentations. We also know, so work that back, to get a presentation, you've probably got to do approximately three or four meetings to be able to convince them to give you the opportunity to present.
Yep.
And if you're only getting 1 in 10 on that, but to get an appointment in the first place, about 100 to 1, give or take. So you've got to make 300 phone calls to get 3 appointments to do 1 presentation, and then 1 presentation, 1 in 10 presentations. You talk 3,000.
I mean,
it's just mad.
I'm sure when we were in comms.
Oh, it was easier. We
I think
had a better
probably
hit rate then.
Yeah, but I think
mad.
it wasn't like a 1 in 10 ratio for presentations. If you were invited to do a presentation, the likelihood was that there was just 2, maybe 3, depending on what was being sold.
I reckon.
So you had a 1 in 3 or a 1 in 2 chance, a 50% chance of getting the deal.
Yeah, I agree with that then.
Yeah.
And the reason now is that I think the reason it's more difficult now is people have got so much more choice and ability, not just to look at product, but to look at company.
Yeah, but I also...
And if you've got 4 companies looking to flog you something, and you go, okay, price and much of a muchness. What are they like? Let's have a look at their website. Let's check them out. What are the directors like? What do they do? And if you've got 3 crap websites, I mean, I saw a bit of a memory lane last week, looking at some people that I used to know and work with years and years ago, like 10 years ago, more. And I've looked at it, and they're still in business. And I looked at their websites like, I can't believe you think that's acceptable.
But do you know what I also think is the problem here? And we talk about this actually in one of our articles. I think what the problem is that a lot of businesses see their website as a set and forget.
Yeah.
So they produce their website, and then
they can put that on the business card, www.
And then basically they ignore it.
Yeah.
And so I would put money on the one that we looked at, that we were like, I cannot believe that this even
They're
exists.
sending people out cold door knocking still, yeah.
But I cannot believe that this particular website was so awful. You couldn't even scroll the website. So
on
it's
an
like,
iPad, yeah.
Yeah,
No,
goodness knows what that's all about. But I cannot believe that, it's clear they've never even looked at their own website. They cannot have looked at their own website and compared it to their competition.
No,
they either don't see the point of it because they're focusing on something else.
They don't see it as being important. And the thing is that we've got I loved it. I love doing this. I absolutely love doing this. And the reason I love this is because we lived it. I mean, at the end of the day, we live it. We absolutely lived this.
Yep.
And I can say hand on heart, for my whole career from starting in selling, I have always wanted to find that utopian infrastructure that would mean automated prospecting and automated business attraction and income. And lots of people think, what we have to do is you have to write this or write something that you can flog online, and millions of people, this time next year, Rodney will be millionaires. Never works. Not when you're selling technologically advanced kit, product, software. So how on earth could we arrive at this almost fictional way of doing business? And even if you look at E-Myth by
Michael Gerber.
If you look at E-Myth, he talks about systemization and being able to extract yourself from the business, so you're not engaged and involved in the business and just doing it. You're running it.
Yeah, you're working on the business, not in the business.
And so you read this and you go, I can see that, because that's about software and getting systems working and everything else. But how do you get this prospecting mechanism to work?
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about everything else. And I know that managing directors don't actually care about anything else except new business.
Mm-hmm.
Without it, you die. And all of those jobs, HR, accounting, manufacturing, all of it, you can buy them in. You can buy that resource at any stage of your decision making, whatever you want. You can buy it in. You can buy an accountant. You can buy a financial person. You can buy an HR person. You can buy the best in the world in it. Whatever, no problem at all. You cannot buy a great salesman, because of lots of reasons, and we all know, because people buy people. It's about product knowledge, technical knowledge, how they come across. You haven't got, you had the Jack the Lad salespeople before. You've still got Jack the Lad salespeople now. Now they just wear tiny little suits but you cannot buy new business.
No,
that's the kicker. You can buy an accountant. You can buy a solicitor. You can buy an HR person. You cannot buy new business.
And I even think, there's, and I know that this still exists, that you still have companies who look to employ people who come with the black book. And I've always had a bit of an ethical problem with that.
It's nonsense.
But I think, the thing is, this, the concept of the black book, and, you've got years and years ago, I went for an interview for a company, and I've been in comms for a long time. But this wasn't communications. It was still technical, but it wasn't comms. And I remember going for the interview, and the guy said, yeah, we think you're really great. You think you could really do this. So how many prospects can you bring with you? And I was like, sorry? No, how many prospects have you got? Because obviously we need you to bring, how many schools have you got? Because it was like a school kind of warehouse type product. How many schools have you got on your database? I'm like, but I thought I was coming to work for you. I didn't think I was having to bring anything. And of course, at that point, I then realised there was this huge mismatch, because he was this company were expecting me to bring in to steal the database,
yep,
to go and work for him. And so I've always had this ethical problem, and I think this is where lots of the things that we have learned over our careers collectively, both Nigel and I, is that what we've learned over our careers is that we could be doing what we did 20 years ago, 25 years ago, which was doing the cold calling, doing the door knocking, sending out a company brochure when we actually get to speak to somebody, following it up, all of that thing. And we wouldn't have moved on. But what we've done, especially in the last 12 months, is, we've become a bit geeky about the content creation side of it, because we actually both really enjoy. We actually enjoy doing the content creation.
The thing is, but it's easy enough, with the people that, do the contracting for us and do work for us and this, that and the other. It's a very logical structure. And like I was saying before, it's about what I'm trying to articulate this. We've both got iPhones. We've got a lot of technology around us. I've got, a 38-inch wide screen. I've got a MacBook Pro, blah, 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 blah. So in terms of material stuff, we know what good looks like. That, you've got a touchy-feely thing, but we know what good looks like. So because of knowing on a graphic side, I know what is visually pleasing in terms of graphics and colours and layout and a bit of white space around, all this kind of stuff. So we know what good looks like. And so what I had to do, I mean, I remember going 2009, no, earlier, 7, 8, looking at websites, looking at CMS websites, working out how do we make this a mechanism to attract people to look at what we're writing about. How does it work? And then looking at e-commerce. How does e-commerce work? Then looking at automated processes, and then starting to realize that marketing automation platforms were coming in called Marketo and so on, and which came out about 2009-ish, 2008 when they came on the scene. And they were looking at the demand gen, lead gen process of you've got to give us your email address and so that you could see where the crossover was. That's not changed in 10 years. So absolutely nothing's changed in that respect. None of the platforms are any different. Every single one of them is set up for email. You know, we've got to capture your email address in order to be able to ring them up and phone them and pester them and so on, or whatever. And so it's looking at how can we produce something that can do that work for us.
Yeah.
And on that note, I am going to play one of our adverts, and then we're going to talk about this afterwards. So here we go.
Hi, it's me, your inner voice. It's been a while since we talked. I know you keep ignoring me, but that's okay. We're in this together. I've been thinking, we're not getting the inquiries or leads that we want from the people who need us. We can't go on like this. Our salespeople blame the leads and marketing blame the salespeople. I know everyone thinks we've tried everything, but we haven't tried salesXchange. They've got a complete strategy, unlike anyone else we've ever seen. We can download everything we need from their website without giving them an email address. And we can decide to do everything ourselves or call them in. What do you think? Go and look at salesexchange.co.uk and let's talk again soon.
So, 334. And that's what I didn't do it in that way round. I didn't want to I know we're going to segue now into 334. That wasn't the point. But the thing about this utopian ideal structure is what we've put together, which is Social 334, which is it's articles, videos, blogs, downloads, podcasts, web page, kind of promotional stuff. And what we've done is we realized we had to produce unique content. We had to produce it on a regular basis. We had to present it in our preferred environment, market or area, which was LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. And we had to be consistent and frequent enough so people could see. They would see it the same as any advertising. I mean, nobody's going to click on anything we just chuck up, and it just doesn't happen. But we knew that we had to do it in such a way that it would have an impact long term, but not take any time. We can't be sitting there posting 4 times a day, every day on loads of different social profiles. Just can't do it. No. And so what we did, the approach was, right, if we produce all of our content in advance, and we want to promote that information over the course of a month, which means we had to do 30 articles and 30 videos, and the podcasts are coming, but we had other content like downloads and information and so on. So we had to have 90 pieces of content to be able to present on social media. That meant that we could do an article, a video, and a podcast or whatever 3 times a day, every day, for 30 days. Because there's absolutely no way that anybody would see the same thing twice in 1 month. It can't happen because we've got 90 pieces of content.
Yeah, the volume would be too much. But the thing is, it's about capturing people. We were actually talking about this morning. It's about capturing people because we all have patterns to our behaviour. You know, by nature, we're creatures of habit. And I think, you know, what we what we wanted to do in terms of the posting, well, first of all, we wanted to make sure we had enough content so we weren't sitting there all day long, or even not just the posting of it, but the creating of it. Because, you know...
Well, I would just jump in and say, because we noticed and realised that people would do one article or something like that and post it up, and then nothing for days or weeks or even months or years, even with some people we've seen. So it was piecemeal, it was sporadic, and you know, these platforms are out there. Go and exploit them, for goodness sake, is what we were saying to ourselves. How can we go and exploit this stuff and these platforms? And so it was, okay, well, this is what everybody is doing. There are social media automated posting platforms that exist. And so you load up the hopper, press the button, and it posts it for you. Happy days. But the issue was but nobody's ever got enough content, ever. And that becomes the problem. So if one is not prepared to write the content, produce the content, create the content, you're never going to be able to keep a presence out there in any form, or any consistent form at all, ever. No. And when someone says, well, here's a handful of adverts, we'll go and pay LinkedIn to advertise them to our preferred market, you go, well, go on then. Cost you a fortune.
But actually, I mean, adverts are just a tiny little bit of it. The thing is, people will see adverts and they go, oh, yeah, you know, you see an advert. But what people are interested in, whether it's on LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever, they're interested in reading stuff or watching stuff. You know, you can pay for an ad, but actually people want something more tangible. They want something real that they can say, well, actually, yeah, I read about this company. I watched this video. And I think it's really important that, you know, we were looking at something because we know from our own sales careers that consistency is the key. You've got to stay consistent. You've got to, you know, the only way were ever going to be successful doing telesales was to do it every day, day in, day out. And I think when you get the fact that consistency is the key, therefore, if you translate that now into this age of information, it means that you've got to be producing, or you have to have available so much content. And the only way you can really do that is by taking a step back and producing all that content ahead of publishing it. Yeah,
just produce it. Produce everything in advance. And so part of this kind of 2019 review is saying this. So what we were doing last year and before was filming the videos, producing the videos, doing all the post-editing and production, the podcasts, writing stuff, getting it all set up, getting the system set up, getting the FAQ set up, getting the you know, even on the FAQs, if you've got a frequently asked question page and someone goes to it and you haven't answered their question, what are they supposed to do? Ring you up? I don't think so. You just put a question box with an email submit button on it and get them to ask you the question. It means it's following through. So the whole thing to do with usability, the speed of our website. You know, we spent quite a long time making sure it was quick. And people say, well, so what? It's only a website. Yeah, but when you realise that Google will penalise you for the content that you're putting on there if it's not being delivered to your browser quick enough, it won't happen. So, I mean, fortunately, we've got I think it was 9384, and those guys that you employ, and the people out there that know what I'm talking about, on GT Metrics, we've got a 93 page speed and an 84 Y slow speed, and we've got 97% or 97 out of 100 on the HubSpot website grader. So we know what we're doing. But we had to do this to prove a point, because if someone comes to you and says, oh, I do SEO, well, I do this, and you go, well, show me, tell me, explain to me. So, you know, I'm a managing director. I need to know this stuff. And the trouble is, my belief is that managing directors have been blagged for decades by marketing people because they actually don't. Nobody knows, and you've got the quips, which are. I think it was John Wanamaker. I put it in an article, one of my articles, saying John Wanamaker said 100 years ago. It was about marketing budget. Whatever I'm spending on marketing, I don't know which half works. Something like that. Because people kind of know they've got to do it, but it just means they don't quite know how to communicate to their people that they want to sell to.
Yeah, and even the conversation we had yesterday, this guy said, "Well, the people that he is talking to just think that marketing is a black art," and it's like, actually, marketing isn't a black art. Marketing is about doing things consistently, and it can't be a black art because Google uses all these highly sophisticated algorithms, as does YouTube. These are mathematical equations that say
100%.
So if there's a formula, if there's an algorithm that is associated with marketing and searching, then marketing can't be a black art.
And you think about it. We all know, everybody listening to this podcast, everybody out there in B2B marketing land or B2B selling land says, it's a numbers game. I mean, we've heard it years for every year in, year out. You never forget your first deal, and it's a numbers game. And so you go, okay, I'm happy with that. Yeah, I get that. So show me, because you're my sales manager. You're the kingpin. Show me how to manipulate and play the numbers. It's not Tom Cruise and Dustin Hoffman doing whatever, and he's in
Rain Man.
Rain Man. Just show me how to do the salesman numbers, how to play the numbers, and we go, oh, it's hard work. You just got to keep pushing it. Just got to keep. No, I'm not having that, and I've never been that. Not dismissive, but defeatist. To go, okay, I just better just get on with it then. Eh? Oh, okay, you got to be joking, and so. We're at a very, an absolutely amazing place right now. I mean, it's very difficult to describe how I feel, because having spent all this time with a vision and an understanding and putting all this together and putting the whole salesXchange platform together and everything else with a focus on being able to automatically distribute information that shows who we are, to have a significant long-term marketing plan for what we're doing to promote ourselves, and at the same time look out there on LinkedIn and go, so where's all the marketing companies? They ain't there. I love this. Because they're telling...
They're just not walking the talk. I think that's the point, isn't it?
I know, absolutely, 100%.
We are walking the talk. We've produced all of the content. We're putting it out there.
And the thing is, like I say,
it's
high quality stuff. We're not just banging stuff out. It's high quality stuff we put out there, but it's for a reason. And the other part of it is, like we're saying, we put all this stuff out there. We've got downloadable brochures. There's a 265-page book I wrote about getting a return on investment from technology. So all of this is freely available, all of it without an email address, because I would happily give you my business card in Cafe Nero and walk away. And not even if you didn't have one, I'd give you my business card. We all would. Every person in the business world would give someone their business card. Yet when it comes to going on your website, you want their email address before you give them something. You're kidding me. And so but I think I'm absolutely convinced, because, like I said earlier, if your marketing people aren't doing, making a big play on all these types of content. I saw one company not that far from us, geographically, saying, video 101, you've got to do video. Must do video, absolutely must do video. And they've got no video on their website at all, nothing. And therefore, you know that, yeah, they say do video, they've got nobody doing it, they'll contract it out to somebody else and make round the corner who will knock out a corporate video. We're not talking corporate video. We're talking about get yourself a couple of cameras, get your staff to learn how to do it. And that's why, I mean, I haven't got an advert for it yet, but we've got a workshop. We've got a workshop that we teach and explain people how to use the kit, put it together, set it all up, introduce them how they can find out where to learn from and everything else to do the whole production stuff for video. Because businesses have to be doing this every single day of the week, per se. So it's not about getting a corporate video done. The more you do it, the better you get at it. Get at it. But our overarching recommendation is more content, less salespeople. If you have less salespeople, the people that you are left with are busier. Yeah, keep them busy. Keep them out there closing because that's their job. Let them get on with it. The people that are not as good at closing or are not as successful, either get rid of them or redeploy them and get them involved in producing the content. It's a readjustment, and there's an article on our site which is should you employ a consultant or taking a consultant before you take on a CMO or a marketing director or even a chief growth officer. You as a director or as a business owner, you've got to understand the mechanism or the mechanics rather within marketing that puts you in the driving seat so you can see the BS that comes out of these people without them costing you 150 grand a year or whatever, because they talk a good corporate story. They come out with blue sky thinking and thinking out of the box and all the right terminology. You think, they're talking our language. Yep, they're talking rubbish. I was going to say something else. They're talking rubbish because if they haven't got video and podcasting and internal content development that are, like I said before, about putting articles out there that are like the equivalent of salespeople, and you can look at, say, take one article, you go, right, we're going to write an article about X. So you send it out there. Give it 2 weeks. How many people have looked at that article?
You talk about it in one of the articles about content being bait.
Yeah.
You're putting bait out there, and it's to attract people. I mean, we talk about attraction marketing. So, your content has got to be attractive, and it's got to be what people are looking for.
Yeah.
We come back again to that, it's got to be what people are looking for, whether it's video, whether it's a blog, whether it's a podcast. But it's fundamentally, it doesn't matter if you've got all of those things. If you're not answering those browsers questions, it's worthless.
I think
it's a pointless exercise.
I tell you what has affected me. I think that's the right word. Is what has affected me. You can go through a process of looking at anything to do with marketing, and you kind of head down and working on it, and everybody's doing it. They're either doing demand gen or this or that or the other. But because we've looked at it from the point of view of blending B2C stuff and what these people are doing on SEO and keyword search and blah 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 and niches and blending the two, it's like, right, we've got a different perspective on this, and there are the saying is, if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always got. So we're good with that. But when it comes to this article stuff, it's bait, but I look at the articles as being individual salespeople. Because if Google have got analytics, if YouTube have got analytics, if everybody's got analytics, we're talking numbers. So therefore, if you've got an article and you can spend a couple of days or a couple of weeks writing an article. So you write this article, it can be 2, 3, 4, 5,000 words. Some of the most popular, massively read. I mean, you're talking hundreds of thousands of people, 10,000 words. So we're talking long articles here, but there is a certain structure to it. There is a certain way of doing it. There's a certain way of writing. There's a certain way of explaining. But all that aside, if you've then got this article that's out there on the internet, how many people have clicked on it? How many impressions have happened? And how many people have clicked on it? This is all Google Search Console stuff. This is not rocket science. So how many people have seen it? and how many people have clicked on it. And of the people that have clicked on it, how long have they stayed on it? What's the bounce rate for it? All of this information is just, it's free. It's free Google stuff. Even with, what did they click on it? What did they, put in Tag Manager at the top? You have an index page, and say you've got 10 points in your article, and you've got 10 sections. You put the 10 sections as the index at the very top and make clickable, so it click on it and takes you to the section that you're looking for. It's quite straightforward, but then you can put Tag Manager on it. So put Google Tag Manager on the indexing titles, and when people do come to your page, what things they were more interested in reading about. Bingo.
And I think you have to, you have to put yourself out there to kind of learn this and that. I think this is our message to you, all of you out there listening, is that, we've done all this graft, we've done all this hard work because we know that there is this void. And I think there's this void between the CEO, the person, the managing director, owner, manager, or whatever. There is this void between you and the marketing team. And you need to know this stuff because you need to have that information.
Well, they're not telling you.
Yeah, and the thing is, you need to have this information. You don't need to know how the mechanics of it all work. When I was selling telecoms, I used to go in and I, especially if I was selling to like office managers or whatever, or the PA, and she'd say, "Oh, I know nothing about this," and I say, "Yeah, but that's not your job. Your job is to tell me what you want in business terms, and I'll translate and interpret that into technical terms because I do know the technical side of it." And I think that's really I
think what the problem is though with the managing director versus marketing is that the managing director has taken a hit. He's the one that's got his skin in the game, so the buck stops with him. He's either been out there and raised loads of money, or he's gone out there and made loads of sales, and he's the person that's made this company happen. And so he has a professional interest in how the business is marketed. But like I said before, I'm not sure if I said it on this podcast or whatever, but I did say it on this podcast. Did you do marketing at university? No, you didn't. But the trouble is the person that did do marketing at university doesn't want to lose his job. So he's not going to challenge you.
But what I think the point is that the point I'm making is that, you as the CEO or managing director, you need to be aware of this. You don't have to know how it all works and how it fits together, but you need to be aware of it so that you can measure it. Because if you can't measure it...
No, yes, sir. That's 100%.
If you can't measure it, how do you know if it's working for you? So, you put a blog out there or you put an article out there, you want to be in a position to be able to measure, is this interesting? Is this getting traffic? Am I connecting with potential customers, with prospects? Am I connecting with them? Because if you're not connecting with them, then there's something wrong. Is it because we're not answering a question? Are we just talking all about us? We need to, and that's really what we've done. We've said to you, we've made this information available to you from salesXchange. We've made this information available to you. You don't have to know all the detail. You don't have to, be doing the coding yourself or anything like that. But I think if you know about it, you know that you can, there's ways and means of measuring your content and how successful your content is. Yeah. In the same way you would measure your salespeople's performance. You would do a breakdown. You say, how many calls have you made? How many prospects have you got in touch with? How many appointments have you done? How many presentations? You break it down. That's what you need to be doing with your content. You need to be breaking it down and getting the information. And if your marketing teams are not providing you with that information, then they're just producing content and hoping for the best.
I think that the overarching offer, I call it an offer, but there's a shift in awareness, or shift a mindset shift in what this is about, and the difficulty. I think the difficulty is but I've got all these people. I'm employing all these people. I've got people in place doing this work. What am I supposed to do? You know, it's like maybe along the line, I don't want to teach them to suck eggs, but the bottom line, if they're not doing this, then they need to be taught. Mm-hmm. But it's a shift, and that's why we do consultancy. That's the point. Is to come in, you know, we'll talk to the marketing team from the CMO right the way down. It doesn't matter who it is. We'll talk to them to get a plan together to make sure it replicates this. But if you don't want to get us in, don't. Download the brochure, do it yourself. But the consultancy bit means that we can identify it, see it, say, right, you need to do this, and this, get on with it. And if they can't do it, don't do it, won't do it, whatever the score is, call us in and we'll do it for you. But the bottom line is because we have, and I say this with more sincerity than anybody would be able to understand. I know how hard it is being a director. I know how hard it is, how hard life can be, with lots of external forces that will try and attack and do stuff, and just life can be tough. And if you have a business that you're not able to get functioning the way you expected it to function, and it's all guesswork, and you're hoping and you've got fingers crossed that you're going to get new business, that is where stress comes from. And you combine all of that stress with all the medical stuff that's out there, you know, diet and blah, 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 then it's a hiding for nothing. And for those people, I mean, you won't know. I was 34 when I had a quadruple bypass. So stress affects people in lots of different ways. And prior to that, it was a lot of grief. But the bottom line is that if we can come up with a strategy and a plan that says life's complicated enough, you don't need this grief in your life. Reorganize your marketing. You don't have to do a wholesale change overnight. You just need to do it in parallel. And if you do it in parallel to what you're doing already, yeah, so it costs you a bit more money, so what? It means that over the course of a year, you can reduce the cost, the human resource cost in terms of salespeople, and increase it on the other side. So it doesn't cost you anything.
And it means that you can measure it. You know, once you've produced it, you can then measure it, and you can change it, you can adapt it, you can look at the success that you're having. And I think that's really key, because if you're pinning your hopes on one video, or you're pinning your hopes on one brilliantly written article, and then hoping that you're going to get loads of traffic to your website, that's not going to work. Because
no, it's consistency.
We watched a really interesting video last week, I think, about branding. And everybody thinks about branding as being, your logo or your product, but actually branding's not. It's about your reputation. And the thing is, you can only build reputation through what you produce, because it's that feeling that those browsers have when they have access to whether it's your website, whether it's to a piece of writing that you've done, whether it's to a video. And it's about how you make those people feel. If you make those people feel that you don't care about them, they won't come back. And I think, that again was something I thought was really important. Brand, when we talk about building a brand, we should just maybe substitute that word brand for reputation.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
and
100%.
I think, by thinking about brand in terms of reputation, because I also think the problem is when we think about brand, we think of the big brands like Coca-Cola, Personal Automatic. No, we all have a brand, and our brand is actually our reputation. And if we look to build our reputation out there by offering our information, offering what we have free of charge, it's freely available out there, and you do this through producing your content, setting it all up sort of beforehand, then you can see how your brand is going to, you can actually see for yourselves as well what your brand message is. What is your message to your customers? Are you showing them that you care? Are you showing them that you're interested in the problems that they have? Are you showing them that you are